to What If History Started. It's episode 46. Last time, I don't really remember. Yep. And, yeah, we're gonna pick up now. So, by this point in time, it's probably around, 1800, I would say. And the Industrial Revolution is occurring. Started out over here in Austria, maybe in this major city right here, and from there it just started spreading all across urban Austria, and then just exploded out into Europe, and then the Middle East, then Asia, and then the colonies and former colonies. So, things are being industrialized, and all that is going swell. Now, Korea is industrializing, of course, and so they're implementing all this technology in their massive colonies over in the Americas. And what this technology is doing is makes it so that a lot less people have to be farmers. So now there's a lot less farmers, but those former farmers are being put out of jobs. And that's not to mention that Korea is also just not treating these colonies that well, and focusing a lot more on their obviously their core territory, but as well this Chinese area, and even the Philippines and Indonesia. So the American colonies feel pretty left out, and they get pretty rowdy, and we're going to see some revolts occur over here in this area. So Baja California, and then this little bit of western Mexico. So I don't know if I like that color, but we'll keep it for now. You see rebellions start occurring over here, which pretty quickly takes over all of Baja California, and reaches up to the outskirts of this major city. We then see that inspired by this, another rebellion is going to form up over here, and that is pretty swell. They are not able to take that major city, but they do take a lot of this rural farmland. And finally for now at least, we see this greenish, yellowish, brightish Chihuahua country rebellion form up over by the Gulf. These three rebellions all have their own military militias, but they are working together. And they are severely beating up the Koreans, and that is not good for the Koreans, obviously. This major city gets encircled, and it's then taken. This one then pushes up here into Arizona, and now this major city is under even more threat. Over here, this country, the Yucatan country, I guess, they see this as a great opportunity to go on in and try and take some land. Look at their religion there. They are the same religion, same branch as well, so that is pretty good for them. Let's do that. See that there's this vital city down here in Mexico, which I believe is the only vital city that Korea has in North America. Yeah. They have one in South America, but only one in North. And so obviously they don't want to lose this. Chihuahua country continues to do their things. These people, this is just them, they like this government more. It's not a violent thing. They just choose to be with these guys. But yeah, they join up with those guys. And we'll do that just to make it look nicer. And now we see a central Mexican country breaks off And now the capital, or, I mean, this is probably like the capital of the Mexican colony, is severely under threat. Korea's reinforcements are continuing to do absolutely nothing. Now, it's not to say that these countries are getting by easily, because they are suffering heavy rebellions are getting by easily, because they are suffering heavy casualties. But it's kind of hard to show that. Just know that, like, every time a color changes, that is a lot of effort and people dying. Anyway, these guys get up to this major city, and we see another rebellion is going to form over, it's kind of hard to see, but oh well, over in the California area, as well as one up by, like, Oregon, Washington. And so the Korean colonies are just, like, completely going off now. Now, the South American ones still haven't really done anything. They weren't treated as badly as the North American ones, and they are also, like, more dependent on Korea than they are self-dependent, which is different from these guys. They are more self-dependent than dependent on Korea. So the South American ones do not rebel yet, but the North American ones are all going. This golden one captures this major city, that major city, and starts moving up north. Well, I mean, they moved a little bit up north, but mainly down south. They link up with the Californian one, and that is pretty nice. Then we have some other color one. This probably isn't prominent, but yeah, we see a big group of people over here do their thing. And then finally we see something slightly different happen, which, I mean, is another rebellion, but is actually unique in one way, as instead of it being, colonists, it's actually like a native rebellion. The natives are taking advantage of how chaotic Korea's colonies are right now to rise up and break free. So this was the color of the country that was here before, the native country, like sort of like the Aztecs or something. Obviously the Aztecs were in Mexico, but, like, you know what I mean. So these guys, they do their thing, and once they go into, like, southern Alaska here, obviously there's, like, very little resistance, because there's a lot more natives up here in Alaska, so they do it pretty easily. By that point, Alaska just kind of capitulates, and with that, Korea's North American colony is reduced to just the capital, which is eventually lost. And with that, the North American colonies of Korea are gone, and now we'll see what they actually end up looking like. Yep. Okay, well, I forgot to give Alaska a capital, but this is what is decided on. Let's move it a little bit. Let's put it, like, here. That's fun. But yeah, this is what's decided on. Some colors have been switched to make things look nicer, but yeah, some of these borders are a little bit odd, but keep in mind that there's plenty of unclaimed land out here to make them look a little bit more normal. But yeah, thankfully no street lines. Yeah, so, that's good. But anyway, one other thing is that because of, industrialization, some major cities are going to be popping up very rapidly now, because, things are getting industrialized. So just Alaska, for example, look at all that. Seattle, that's what we'll call this country. Look at all these. This team probably will have, like, 2. California will have some. This guy will have, like, 1. Like I said, it's pretty rural. This might have a couple more. World. Yep. Cities. So yeah, as you can see, there's just a lot more cities popping up now because it's industrialized. This country already has a lot. Of course, this does extend to other colonies. Like this one. Yeah, we'll have it over there. I keep finding weird little pixels. Gotta fix those. Probably nothing out here. That's just like for forestry. But yeah, some here. Of course, you know, you got the whole giant Amazon rainforest, like something like this, I believe. Maybe even a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's pretty not fun for colonies. So that's just, so we haven't even touched this part of North America yet. So now we gotta Zamers. How splendid is this? So like this country, like for example, it's pretty big. So like it's gonna have 3, but like, you know, normally it would have a lot more than 3, but it's rural. So that is how cities work. Thank you for coming. Some Canadian ones over in Denmark. And we even put one like up there for fun. No more in Greenland. You know, find one more in Greenland. Like, yeah, that is just the Americas, and like that's a whole lot more. Of course, we're also going to see some of them become vital cities. It's like maybe this one. Maybe this one. That one. Don't even know if you can see that. Bam. You're good. There. There. And there's an unclaimed tiny island here. I bet Korea will take that. You probably won't have any. Bam. That's finally the New World actually done. Well, other than that one. Well, I mean, I guess technically the New World is also like Australia, I think, by definition. But yeah, we see in Europe a whole very industrialized over here. So, yep. This one's already got quite a few. Galicia. And of course, it's not just new cities being sprouted up, it's old ones being improved upon as well. I mean, you can kind of see that with the vital cities, but just, you know, gotta make it more clear. And it's actually kind of a lot of major cities already over here. And obviously, Austria is like the most industrialized country. I mean, there's like giant working class working like 19 hours a day. Maybe not 19, then they have 5 hours for sleep. I don't think that's too accurate. But yeah. These northern ones also probably aren't that much more. Mesopotamia, I'm not sure. And then as for vitals, we'll start over here. Bam. Bam. Bam and bam. There's already a few up here, I think. We'll add one more there. There. And we'll give you a new vital city right there. And that is a capital. That is not supposed to be like that. Of course, the Persian Gulf. I mean, it's the Persian Gulf. Or Persian coast, whatever. You know, I just realized this is Strait of Hormuz. It's like our world as well. Ain't that something? Blue team's probably fine. Well, I guess we'll just scatter a few up in here. Turn this one into a vital city. No, it's too many. This one is just gonna, you know, fine, we'll give you a city. If you really, you're gonna complain about it. Blue thing. I don't even know what you would call this. Bam, bam. Probably not a lot in the Himalayas, and this is already probably pretty well developed, so just Australia left. Well, Oceania, really. Bam, 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 bam. So yeah, pretty obviously we have a lot of, like, cities popping up, but also a lot of decolonization. And that's what I was trying to say originally. And we probably need, like, one more on you, because you're big. Probably need like 2 more, because of how industrialized you are. Yeah. So there's our cities updated, and with a lot more. We are also going to be looking over back at our favorite area, where there's 3 whole things we, check up on pretty commonly. Blue team's Reconquista, red team's expansion, and Oman updates. And we're going to save that one for last. Blue team Reconquista. They really want their capital back. Well, their old capital back. So they're going to go for it. And it's Caucasus Mountains right here, and this country just kind of starts pushing them back. And then the war just stalemates, and they make no progress. Hooray. Red team does not do any actual expanding for now, but they definitely have some troops lined up on the border of this country. So obviously it's making this country pretty nervous, but also making Golden Horde pretty nervous, because they don't want the red team to border them. I mean, they're already pretty much there, but, like, still. And yeah, so Oman, the exciting, oh man, it's Oman. Really just like southern Arabia, though. I mean, Oman is this area. This is all of this. And it has its colonies. It's kind of like a Arabian Sea empire. We have the Bay of Bengal Empire and an Arabian Sea Empire. You could give them, like, these countries. Like, look at that. And this also. And also this. Obviously, it's not gonna happen. Or is it? We don't know. It might. But anyway, these 2 countries, one country, 2 halves of this country, have finally coalesced into big old thing. 2 things. I feel like this shouldn't be Vital City. Yeah, I feel like we should probably have less. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, and these 2 halves of Oman are finally going to go to war and find out who is the true Oman. Hopefully once and for all. So the war starts with this one immediately pouring in, taking this major city, with Brown Oman then going up here and capturing this one. So there's trading blows. The capitals are actually pretty close to each other, so that's a little bit threatening. Especially, as we can see, they're both threatening each other's capitals. And that's a bit of an issue. So they both just kind of, take a step back real quick and reassess. We then see that Brown Oman kind of just floods out into here. Meanwhile, Blue Oman, well, yeah, I guess it's blue. Depressing Blue Oman takes this major city, starting a whole new front line. They also get pretty close to this vital city and cut it off from the rest of Brown Oman. They then continue to push in here, but Brown Oman manages to reclaim this major city and also push out into them from the land it just claimed. Brown Oman then makes a surprise attack of this nice little spearhead up here, which goes all the way up to this coast. And, well, obviously that's not going to last for too long. It does last long enough for Brown Oman, to be able to reclaim this, while Blue Oman struggles to reclaim that. However, the first vital city of the war is taken with, well, the first taken vital city happens. I don't know how you'd phrase that, but this vital city is taken by Blue Oman, Now starts a big ol' push straight on down, which is very successful. But Brown Oman does a pretty similar thing. Once again, is right outside of depressing Blue Oman's capital. They even have a battle for it, although depressing Blue Oman is able to win and reclaim all of that. Brown Oman then goes all the way up here and cuts the country in half. Pretty much all their military is here, and there's just defensive ones here. And also there's probably a trench dug here now, so that's fun. A ton of people are dying there. We now see that this one is making a spearhead around here. And also does literally the same thing that they just did to them. We can see that Brown Oman is going to cut them off and isolate them, and then they push them out to the coast, and that went pretty well for Brown Oman. However, it was actually kind of a distraction, so Blue Oman managed to but get all this land. They try to do the same thing, but they fail, and Brown Oman now continues just pushing up here, and they managed to take this vital city, although not the one in the UAE. Both sides work on reclaiming a little bit of their lost land before going back right into fighting each other in each other's lands again. The red team would definitely take advantage of this if it wasn't for the Circle Alliance. Both of these countries are in, but remember, they can fight each other. It's like a whole weird clause in the Circle Alliance that, Oman is allowed to fight itself, but nobody else can fight Oman other than itself. Yeah. Anyway, the capital area of Blue Oman is taken by Brown Oman, and now they no longer have a capital. However, they have probably more of their military, and they also have this vital city back, so that's not good. Brown Oman goes all the way over here to Yemen, meets up with the Red Sea, and now starts pushing upwards. Blue Oman starts reclaiming more of their land, and both of them just continue doing this, and then we're back at square one. Hooray. Except this time everybody is really exhausted, and they consider ending the war here and just having nothing happen, but a lot of people have just died for possibly nothing, so that's pretty unpopular with the people, and both sides are going to continue the war. Brown Oman now kind of switches up their strategy, just make a huge front line out in the center. Meanwhile, Blue Oman does the opposite and concentrates it into both of the edges. We now see that Brown Oman's capital goes under siege. Meanwhile, Brown Oman just keeps ballooning out in here. This major city and this vital city are taken again, and this area falls. Brown Oman tries to cut off Blue Oman in half again, but at this major city there's a big battle, and they are stopped, and then pushed back severely. Brown Oman's ballooning here, then starts to falter, as we see that they get pushed back, and their troops go on the retreat, and to make matters worse, their capital is taken. Over here, Brown Oman's troops are successful at reclaiming this land, and they also push in a little bit more like this. However, they still do not have their capital, which is bad, especially because Blue Oman now starts going down this coast. However, Brown Oman's remaining military, which is not a lot, makes a spearhead out here and cuts off these troops. From there, they unleash a giant front line from here and manage to take back their capital. With that, both teams have been completely exhausted, but Brown Oman now managed to go back here. There's another battle for the capital of Blue Oman, in which Brown Oman wins and takes it. Then continue hugging the coast out here, and there's a lot of mutiny in Blue Oman's army, and morale is very low, especially as another surprise thing is made here, taking this major city and encircling a ton of Blue Oman's troops. From there, Brown Oman continues to push up into Blue Oman, taking their last vital city, now isolating them to just the far north. They take this major city, reducing them to just one, and finally, the last city of Blue Oman is taken, and Brown Oman has officially reunited Oman. We've come a long way. This thing looked like a piece of broken glass before, but now it's actually whole again. Its new capital is, of course, going to be Brown Oman's capital, and we now no longer the whole idea of the Holy Omani Empire is officially dissolved, as we now just have Oman. Now, as for their colonies, well, they are absorbed. Let's also not forget that. So, there we go. Brown Oman is here to stay. And they are pretty powerful. This is great news for these two countries over here, the other two members of the Circle Alliance, who are pretty happy, obviously. Alliances, cities, there, no, not you. There. I'm actually out of ideas for once. We are going to come over to the remnants of the Upside Down Triangle Alliance. Nope. Yeah, the remnants of the Upside Down Triangle Alliance. So they are prohibited from forming a new alliance. However, these four countries are still very close allies. Now, I could be wrong. I think this one was actually a member of the Triangle Alliance, but then got, ousted. And I think these three countries would actually decide to take it in to their ranks, I guess you could say. Because, it could be useful, it's pretty powerful, and all that. So while there's no official alliance made, I mean, there might as well be, because if there was any, invasion of one of these four, then the other three would help. Even though these Indias kind of hate each other, they're also kind of have someone that they hate a little bit more right now. Over here, Baikal is just being a big old bozo. Nobody likes them. They're just isolated up here to their city. And eventually, the surrounding countries decide that they've had enough of them and that they want to partition them. So, so what we have laid out is that Korea wants this. These guys want this, as well as these islands. What are these, the October Revolution Islands or something like that? They're discovered very late in history or something like that. I don't know. And Squidward China, who is just China now, wants this. So that is their territorial ambitions. And boo. Religion. There you are. And so we're going to see that these three countries get to work on it. Korea, who is definitely weakened now that they lost their colony. Their North American one, at least. They are the first to invade. They are 560,000 pixels now. Their empire is slowly diminishing. They are still very strong. Probably still the strongest country in the world, but it's actually pretty close now. Korea starts flooding in over here. And Siberia, I don't know what you would call this. I guess this is probably what I would call Siberia. It's this is definitely Baikal, and this is definitely Korea, and this is definitely Golden Horde. So, even if actual Siberia is, all of that, I feel like this one just kind of has to be Siberia by process of elimination. And so, this one has to be Siberia. I mean, this one's Baikal. But anyway, Siberia pushes into Baikal, and they meet up with Korea, cutting it in half. Now, as for China, they attempt to make it across the lake, Baikal, but the thing is, this is the deepest lake in the world, I believe, and it's also one of the largest by surface area, and it is very nice wall that protects them, their capital. Not only is a figurative wall, but there's also literally a wall, because Baikal has indeed set up a wall, a defensive wall, right here, kind of like the Great Wall of China. And this, almost like the Great Wall of Cyprus in this timeline, I guess. That's where Cyprus has their Great Wall, which is a lot better than Baikal's, but, I mean, it's literally, like, impenetrable. Baikal's is just, like, really good. But yeah, so because of that, and because of, having to boat across here, and because of how far inland this is, like, obviously it's very hard to transport boats up here. So, Baikal's strategy of just, like, shooting the Chinese from atop the wall is actually very successful. The Chinese are completely unable to get across the lake. Of course, that does not mean that they can't supply Korea and Siberia, which they are doing. Over Baikal makes a surprise counteroffensive, and kind of, like, if you look here, it's like a peninsula, sort of. So basically, they cut off these troops and isolate them to the peninsula. And they even go around the lake to make sure that they can't get out by boat. Then over here, Korea is rolling through the country, and they're stopped at this major city because Lake Baikal the Baikal country has some very good defensive military people. So Korea is going to get tired of that, and them and the Siberians are going to turn their attention up to taking the north, which is successful. However, that might have been a mistake, because now they have a lot less soldiers, because they decided to go up here and claim all this land, which there was a surprising amount of Baikal natives up there, doing guerrilla warfare. And of course, all the freezing to death. And those that are left are very mutinous and unhappy. It's made worse when all these guys are brutally killed and then put on display. Siberia then makes a little bit of a excursion. I think that's what that word means. Over here. And Korea does the same over here. Clearly trying to, like, pinch their, capital. However, there is another small issue here. The wall of Baikal, that has a nice ring to it. It looks not only like this, but also like this, going around the capital. And so, obviously it's not as effective as, the main wall, and how effective it was against China, but it still is very difficult for the Koreans and Siberians to get through, especially with their extremely cold armies fighting up here in extremely cold weather, because this war has went on for a lot longer than I expected, and it is now winter, and literally all of them are freezing to death. Then, in like January, like late January probably, Baikal makes a surprise counteroffensive. They managed to retake all of their major cities, then isolate a huge chunk of people out here and kill all of them. And they do the same over here and kill all of them. From there, we see that they continue to push north until all the Koreans and Siberians up in their territory retreat. So, with that, the war is over, and Baikal has just absolutely humiliated, like, two of the strongest countries and Siberia. Now, but Baikal is still pretty strong. They still have a lot of military left, even if they only have 4 major cities, which are all like a square. Well, I guess, and technically you could kind of just, like, put any 4 dots anywhere, and, like, that's still sort of a square, if you really squint. But, yeah. So no land is exchanged, just a lot of dead soldiers. So that's that. Of course, we need the daily reminder that Gibraltarians over here are not happy. There's a very large revolt over in this major city, and it is put down, and the people there are executed, and that is going to be used as even more propaganda for the Gibraltarans acting, as rebels. But that is going to do it for today's episode. So, goodbye.